One night made the difference in size. As for me, I remember the
It still had the sweet flavor.
I was hanging around bad ones to take. City's got one bad one to fuck. For throwing good riders, he's had lots of blood.
We moved about 3 months ago.
I gets all lit up, and I ask what he thinks to write this old name. He said, get yourself, I'll give you a chance.
This is skip number 7.
We'll get up in a minute.
We are the Bandera Cattle Company gunfighters, and we are proud to present a version, and I emphasize that, for the killing of Emmett Butler. It was 1 o'clock in the afternoon on the 26th of December, 1884. The sky was cold, dark, and ominous. As freezing rain pounded the wooden buildings and sidewalks of Helena, Texas. The streets were ankle-deep in mud as the wooden buildings swayed and creaked with each bone-chilling, icy gust of wind. It was the day after Christmas as locals recovered from celebrations while trying to stay warm from the miserable weather that had struck Helena that Christmas Eve. Some of the good citizens huddled around their fireplaces or wood stoves, while some of the other more boisterous townsfolk continued their post-Christmas celebrations with loud whiskey-charged voices at one of the 13 saloons that had sprouted up in Helena like mushrooms after a summer rainstorm. For weeks, rumors had spread around town about bad blood between Sheriff Edgar Leary and William Green Butler, the richest rancher in Karnes County. It seems Butler was furious that the sheriff and his deputies forced their way into the Butler mansion while WG was driving his cattle towards Kansas on the Chisholm Trail. It was said that the sheriff had the gall to storm into Butler's daughter's room, even tearing off her bed covers. The sheriff's excuse for the home invasion was that he was looking for Butler's 20-year-old son, Emmett, to question him about allegedly killing a Negro over in Wilson County. Word had reached Helena that the cold morning in December that Emmett Butler and his sidekick Hugh McDonald were drunk, shooting, and terrorizing the Polish town of Santa Maria 6 miles up the road from Helena. Rumors spread from house to house, saloon to saloon, virtually covering every inch of town. The whisper was that Emmett Butler was coming to avenge the Butler. As the clock struck 1 in the afternoon, the pounding of the horse hooves could be heard above howling wind, driving rain and sleet. A multitude of heads peeked out from behind drawn-covered windows. Above swinging saloon doors, 2 men in rain-soaked slickers could be seen charging into town, water streaming off their bodies.
Thank you. Actually, we're going to hell.
They come.
Settled matter is no good account Sheriff Leary. For what he did to my sister, busting into our house, tearing the covers off of her like that while she was sick.
Well, that ain't no good. He needs to be killed.
Yep.
As was the custom in an old Helena, most of the 500-plus citizens were well armed, including Sheriff Leary and his deputies. Everything happened so quickly that it was hard for folks to truly recollect what actually happened. One thing is certain, as soon as Butler and McDonald dismounted and drunkenly tied up their horses, Leary and his deputies approached the two men and demanded they surrender their guns.
You boys need to give up your guns. Put them over here right now.
Hey, Sheriff, I don't want no trouble. I ain't here to cause no trouble. Here you go. I ain't here no trouble.
McDonald immediately complied. However, Emmett whirled and pulled his revolver, which was hidden under his slicker. In the blink of an eye, a flame shot from his pistol, and a bullet slammed into the sheriff's heart. The sheriff slumped to the wooden sidewalk, blood gushing from his mortal chest wound.
Emmett, where's your gun at? You want my gun, Sheriff? I do want your gun, Emmett. Fine, you can have it along with a chunk of lamb.
McDonald was quickly knocked to the ground by a mob of onlookers as Emmett ran for his horse and began to make his escape out of town. Unfortunately for him, before he got 50 yards, gunfire echoed through town, sounding like a pair of blazing cannon guns. More than 40 shots were fired at Emmett by angry citizens, some of them slamming into his torso, and one for sure in his head, exposing his brain to the freezing rain, and probably a fatal shot as he lay moaning and bleeding on the ground. Several townsfolk came out to see the arrogant rich man's son receive his just reward. Emmett Butler was pronounced dead that evening.
You get back over there. Y'all killed him. Y'all gonna pay for this. I'm gonna pay for it. We're gonna get the colonel. We're gonna see.
Upon hearing the terrible news, William G. Butler cut short his cattle drive and raced home to Texas. He gathered up 25 of his heavily armed ranch hands, and they headed to town to retrieve Emmett's body and find out who shot him. When Butler and his cowboys reached Helena, not a soul could be seen nor heard. W.G. yelled out at the top of his lungs, "I want to know who killed my boy."
Get back and forth.
Look. No, coming.
All he heard was the sound of silence. W.G. yelled out at the top of his lungs,
That's them, Colonel.
They're the ones.
All right. Who shot my boy?
all he heard was the sound of silence. Again, his voice boomed.
I want to know who in the hell shot my son.
Still nothing but silence. He repeated his demand several times, his words echoing back from the battered buildings. The only reply he got was wind-blowing sagebrush over the wooden sidewalks.
I'll tell you one thing. I don't know who killed my son. This town killed my boy. I'm going to kill this town. Let's go get him.
What did he mean by such a threat? Well, the story goes that the San Antonio Aransas Pass Railroad was building south from San Antonio to the coast. Helena was the largest town in Karnes County, and at the time was the county seat. The Helenians had been raising money to help the railroad and to make sure the rails came to town. Allegedly, Bill Butler went to the SA and AP offices in San Antonio and offered to give them the railroad right of way across his extensive ranch, on the condition that the railroad bypassed Helena. The gift of right-of-way was saved. The railroad a great deal of money, considerably more than Helena raised to lure the rails to town. The railroad bypassed Helena, and eventually the town with her. But it never died completely. So I guess old W.G. got his way in a sense. He killed the town and killed his son. A new town, Karnes City, was built on the railroad line and eventually became the county seat. Now can y'all out there hear the railroad? Oh, wait a minute. They built it down 8 miles over. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the Bandera Cattle Company gunfighters and friends, presenting the killing of Emmett Butler. Again, I want to point out that this is one of many versions.
That'll be a lady.
When you gonna do the other one?
It's not a
Y'all
Western
come on in,
movie.
we're to take pictures with
Like
them.
it's, yeah,
Oh, all right.
it's not a movie, right? What from the street? Right?
The Bandera Cattle Company Gunfighters. It is our honor to be here today. We'll be available for photo opportunities, and hope you enjoyed our show.
Okay.